Hi, Mystery Writers. Welcome to the Mystery Writer Studio. I'm Zara Altair, and today I want to talk about Act 2 in your 4-act structure and the detective's journey into the victim's world. This is where you set up the puzzle for your mystery readers because they love puzzles, right? And they're here to solve the puzzle, and their goal is to solve the puzzle before your detective does, but your goal is to keep them from doing that. But in this part of the story, what you're doing is setting up the puzzle. So that means you're giving lots of reasons to think about how this puzzle could be solved. We're not having any solvings yet. We're just like pouring on information. So the first thing that happens is your detective starts to discover who was the victim. What was their world like? Who was in that world? And they may visit the victim's residence. They may find clues there. They may find red herrings there. Also, as they discover the people in that victim's world, they're going to interview those suspects and discover more about the victim, because each suspect is going to have their version of who the victim was, and your detective and your reader are going to have to put together from all these divergent aspects. They're going to have to put together a picture of the victim and why someone would want to kill them. And we may not have the answer yet in Act 2, but this is your job in Act 2. This is the big setup. You're creating the puzzle. In the beginning, you introduced your reader to the character and who they were and what their world was like. And now they're going to discover the victim's world. And the victim's world is through the eyes of other people. It's through the detective's eyes, and it's also through all the suspects' eyes. And so you want to give divergent aspects of your victim to make them more puzzling. So, whoa, this person says they were great, and this person says they were an old grump. And which one are you going to believe? And if it's both, how do those two aspects fit together? So, you have a lot of opportunity here to create mystery for your readers and give them all those questions to ask. Why is this important? Is this important? Is is this important? And the detective is going to be going through the same things, and that is why they may be going down a wrong path with a red herring. This seems like something important, but it isn't. Anyway, the whole idea of that second act is is making it puzzling for your reader. Just all these puzzle pieces, and they're all kind of scattered all over, and somehow the detective and your reader have to put together a picture of the victim and why they would be a victim. Why they would be a victim. What was it about them that was so annoying or so aggravating, um, or whatever it was that actually triggered the villain's um, the villain's wrath in order to kill them. So it's all about making it mysterious, creating that puzzling world. I guess that's all I have to say about that is you're really creating a puzzling world, and your reader's going to love it if you just present all these different puzzle pieces, all these different ideas of what the victim was like, who they were like, what their world was like, um, and how that world impacted the victim, how the victim impacted the world. It's all about discovering that victim's world, because before this part of your story, we really don't know much about the victim, and we really don't know much about the puzzle that the detective has to solve. And so this is like uh, the big setup, as it were. This is where you're setting up all these questions for your detective and your reader, and as the story progresses in Act 3 and Act 4, they're going to eliminate all those things one by one by one. But at this point, you're just providing a lot of information about who that victim was. And one of the reasons that I like the 4-act structure for mystery writers is it also helps you prevent that sag in the middle where it kind of gets repetitive and boring and the reader isn't caring very much, because you have this whole part of your novel to bring in more information, to bring in more questions to ask for your reader, and it really keeps you from having a sagging middle, because all this information is coming in and all these questions are being raised, and your reader wants to keep reading because they want to find out the answers to all these questions, which are going to come later in the story. But right now you're going, this and this, and this suspect said that, and what was that box that was hidden in the closet? All these things, that are raising questions. And those questions are part of what keeps your reader reading. Of course, you want them to be engaged with your character and see the world through your protagonist's eyes, but you want to raise those questions. This is your opportunity to really create a mystery, as it were, and get your reader asking all sorts of questions. And that is one of the things that's very unique about a mystery that's, say, opposed to action adventure, where new things are happening. And for mystery writers, it's all about getting your reader to ask questions at this point in your story. Okay. And and at this point, you're heading toward the middle, because at the middle, your detective is going to try and put all these pieces together that had come up in Act 2 and try to put them together, and it's just not going to work. So after the midpoint, your detective is going to have to reevaluate everything that they've learned in this second act. And so the more that you provide in the second act, the more challenges you have for your detective later on in the story. I just want to focus on the second act today, because I think it's so crucial to getting your reader involved and getting them loving the mystery part of your mystery, right? Here it's like, whoa, this is something, but we don't know what it is yet, right? And why did this suspect say this? Um, and what does that have to do, or does it have to do anything with solving the puzzle? So just think of it as providing all the puzzle pieces that you're going to work on later in the story to fit together to actually finally come to your final conclusion and reveal the villain. But at this point, we don't know who the villain is. At this point, we're still discovering the suspects, right? Who are they? Who are the people that were in that in that victim's life. Who were they? That's where we are right now. It's a discovery journey. It's a journey of getting more information, and trying to make it all fit together, even though the pieces may seem unrelated at this time. So, in crafting the narrative of the detective's journey in the victim's world, you're weaving that suspense and the character growth, and you're heading toward the revelation, but it's a long way off yet. You're going to give your detective lots of trouble between now and the end. And this part is Act Two is the foundation as the mystery deepens, and it's the springboard for the climax that comes later. But right now, it is definitely mystery, question, right? And you're going to have planning and setbacks, and you're heading toward that midpoint twist, and you're guiding your detective and your reader through a labyrinth of intrigue and questions. Um, so that's essentially what I wanted to talk about today, was Act Two and what it is as really a gift for mystery writers, because you're setting up the puzzle and it's kind of fun to come up with all the ideas. What are the clues? Who are these suspects? What was their relationship to the victim? And is the relationship that the suspect describes really what their relationship was like? And you're going to be answering these questions later on in the story, but right now you're just presenting question after question after question after question, and getting your detective and your reader super involved. All right, I hope that helps. And as always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions. And thank you for being here. And I will see you next week in Mystery Writer's Studio.